So-called pastor Will Duffy recently made a video about how the final experiment is not a false dichotomy while proving that it is.
So we've been getting this complaint. It seems to be only from one side. The complaint is that the final experiment cannot be final because we've created a false dichotomy. So have we created a false dichotomy with the final experiment? Now, before I explain why, I have been made fun of before for possessing a toy globe, but something that pretty much no one knows is that in addition to possessing a toy globe, I also possess this right here. And if you look, this also has Antarctica on the bottom of it. So, have we created a false dichotomy? No, we have not. Why? Because there's only currently two models of our world. There's a flat model and a globe model. There's a flat stationary plane model and there's a rotating globe model. That's it. Now, in fairness, I've been contacted by some people who are trying to convince me that we live in a simulation and that none of this is real. And I'm not going to consider that. How about this? I'll tell you what, if you figure out how to unplug yourself from the matrix, go ahead and contact me and then I'll start to listen. But for now, we only have two working models. And the final experiment...
All right, hold on right here. There is only one working model of Earth. There are not two working models. That is insanity to think that there are two working models. But I guess you have to have that to have a false dichotomy. Once again, there is only one working model because the non-working models are falsifiable, which we have been doing the last 7 years. I want to point out that we stopped using the word simulation a long time ago because New World Order shill agents would come along and say that we are saying that nothing is real. That has never been what we are saying. We are saying that we are in a stereographic virtual reality, just like what Facebook or Meta is trying to build at this very moment. The easiest way to know if someone is a New World Order shill against us is that they will say, "It is a simulation and nothing is real." They will refer to the Pac-Man sun, which is something that we have always denied because it implies one physical sun traveling above the plane of Earth, teleporting from west to east. We have always said that because we are in a stereographic virtual reality, that there is only one sun any observer will ever see, and that it is seen unique to each viewer based on their latitude, longitude, and elevation.
And so this is going to be definitive. This is going to be final. This is not a false dichotomy. I think the cube Earth is a fun gimmick, but the reality is we have two competing models.
Now, Will has made up a new straw man against us with cube Earth, which is something we are against. There is only 180 degrees of latitude versus 360 degrees of longitude, meaning the Earth is a rectangle and three-dimensionally like Noah's Ark and the Tabernacle. So add cube Earth to the list of Tavistock mind control words that New World Order agents use to shill against the stereographic virtual reality. We will cover this entire video point by point in an upcoming live stream, but I wanted to get on the scoreboard for Flat Earth by live interviewing him on our channels. So I want to get out a public invite to Will to come join us on any of our channels. Flat Earth needs to be allowed to score points on your scoreboard. I have another way I'd like to get Flat Earth on the scoreboard, and that is I have an idea for something that will make the final experiment absolutely final. You could maybe even get me to try and forget that there's no curvature and that there's no proof of movement or rotation if you could provide us flat earthers a 3D model of all known celestial objects plotted out to scale and all of their paths of motion in relation to the universe. What the globe Earth really needs is a 3D model that can show all 5 motions of the sun. Let's count those out so that none of them get missed. The model must show the Earth and Sun's rotation, orbit, movement within the solar system, movement within the Milky Way, and movement within the local group, and then movement within the whole universe. I am not asking for a 3D model of any other known or unknown universes, just our known universe. What the model needs to be able to do is be able to show the known universe and then be able to zoom into any celestial object and be able to place a viewer at any location to be able to take measurements to all other celestial bodies such as stars and floating chunks of rock. I think everyone on Earth deserves to be able to see the exact relationship to everything in so-called space. That way, anywhere in the universe, people would be able to know if there's a 24-hour circling sun at the South Pole of any planet, anywhere in the universe. What greater cause could there be than to debunking flat Earth for the whole universe, right? All we need is to be able to see the whole universe and then be able to zoom into any location and be able to see what the sky would look like from that position anywhere in the universe. Everything in a 3D model needs to be at scale so that the parallax from one location to another is exactly correct. Then we can zoom into Earth at Union Glacier Camp and get the exact rotation of the luminaries, or we can see what it looks like from the moon base, or from the backside of the moon, or from inside a black hole. Because number one, we are not going to allow the globers to use our model for predicting the correct azimuths and altitudes for tracking the sun in Antarctica. When you do your experiment or observation, whatever you want to call it, what scientifically minded people want is the data. So I assume that you're going to be giving the exact latitude and longitude of where your observations with elevations above sea level are coming from, and that you will be tracking the exact azimuth and altitude of the sun the entire time you're there, right? That's obvious, right? Because we want to verify if your data matches our model. It is pointless for you to go to Antarctica if that data is not made public. This is our 3D sun path model we prefer, but there are a lot to choose from. We've been sharing this model the last 7 years as proof of Earth being a stereographic virtual reality. You, as a heliocentrist, cannot use our 3D sun path model because our model is fixed on a flat plane. The model is not moving. It is the sun going around the observer, where the sun is rising from Earth and setting into Earth on a flat plane. This is our model and you can't use it. Jaron has already started trying to say that our 3D sun path model is based off of globe data, when it is easy to see that it's not. He's even pissed at Nathan Oakley for teaching people that all measurements are taken from a flat plane. If we look at the data and how it's being represented, you can clearly see that the altitude of the sun goes from 0 degrees at the horizon to 90 degrees being perfectly perpendicular to a plane to 0 degrees at the horizon. There is never more than 180 degrees of altitude, meaning it can only be flat. No, this is not globe data. If it was, it would have to be doing all the calculations for what I am asking for from the globe earthers. For the globe's 3D model, we need to have all of the orbital mechanics and the correct distances between each object to be able to render a view of any location. Our model allows us to show a person the exact path of the sun around an observer anywhere on a flat Earth that is fixed and immovable with 4 corners. Any day of the year, accurate to 100th of a degree per second. It's not the only one out there. Stellarium is the same. All the luminaries rotated around a fixed observer on a flat plane in Stellarium. The altitude of the luminaries only goes from 0 to 90 to 0. That is 180 degrees and is a plane. The observer in Stellarium is fixed and not moving. It is the luminaries rotating around a fixed observer positioned on a plane. All you have to do is turn off the ground to see that the luminaries are rotating around the observer at a fixed distance. When you turn the ground back on, you can clearly see that they are rising from Earth and setting into Earth. So you do not get to use any of the 3D sun simulators that have a fixed frame of reference, and you cannot see the motion of everything else in the universe in relation to each other. We need to be able to see the orbital mechanics for every celestial body from the globe Earth side of this debate, to see whether or not your model matches the data you collect this December. Now, before you go investing too much effort into giving us the model that would be necessary for scientists to actually say the things they say about the lights in the sky, I want to warn you about what you're going to run into. You need to show 5 different motions of Earth: the rotation, orbit, path in the solar system, path in the Milky Way, and path within the local group according to AI Overview. If you did not know it already, as soon as you have any movement, you will have parallax. That is a term that refers to how objects move and change size in relation to each other from different perspectives. If you move a camera through a 3D scene, you will see how, if you rotate a camera fixed in one location and you place a bunch of objects around it in 3D space, that there is no parallax. But the moment you begin moving the camera, there is parallax everywhere all the time. You're going to have a hard time depicting Earth's exact position in the universe with 5 different motions applied, and for there to be no parallax for the last 6,000 years. As we experience here on Earth, with the stars never changing their relationship to one another, other than the few wandering stars heliocentrists call planets. There is precession of the equinox, but there's no parallax. The precession of the equinox is proof that the constellations were exactly the same 6,000 years ago. But you should believe that already. You're a pastor, right? By the way, considering you are a heliocentrist, do you also believe in the Big Bang? In the billions of years old stuff with evolution and dinosaur stuff? Or are you a Big Bang 6,000 years ago guy? I hope to find out in a live interview, but if by chance you do decline, I hope that you at least give Flat Earth credit for trying to interview you and you declining. And I hope Flat Earth gets credit for suggesting that the azimuth and altitude of the sun be tracked the entire time you're in Antarctica. And I hope Flat Earth gets credit for asking for a heliocentric 3D sun simulator that shows all 5 motions of everything in the universe so that 24-hour suns can be modeled anywhere in the universe, defeating Flat Earth and the cosmos for good. These are 3 points for Flat Earth that need to be put on the scoreboard. From your recent scoreboard update, scoring a point for Kingdom in Context, you just put this update out 2 hours ago, and I think it's really timely right now. Check this out.
And it occurred to me, after thinking about that actually is a suggestion which will help make the final experiment better. What am I talking about? Well, in the world of science, it's about making predictions and then testing them. That's what various models do, is you make models, those models contain predictions, and then you go test those predictions. And so,
considering you just said models can test predictions, I will be eagerly awaiting you providing a 3D model of the known universe with all 5 motions animated, because you're not using our fixed stationary model on a plane with the luminaries rising from and setting into Earth.